The most human, real, and relatable content you can produce is content that's unique to you. In other words, your story. Well, hey there, and welcome back to the Direct Selling Accelerator podcast. I'm your host, Sam Hine, and I'm here to teach you how to use social media as a powerful tool to grow your direct selling business. Now, first of all, I want to start this episode by saying you don't need to be technically savvy, technically skilled, well-practiced, or have a huge following in order to be successful on social media. What you do need to do is learn how to connect genuinely with your ideal target customer. And that takes a little bit of practice, but if you are committed to growing your business and you're committed to serving your audience in the best way possible, then that is the only thing you need to start with. Today, I want to talk to you about something that I believe is absolutely not talked about enough, and that is a big change that we saw in Facebook and Instagram less than 2 years ago. This is a change that you will have noticed. It's a change that you will be impacted by. But aside from when this change first happened, we hear very little about it now. Yet I believe it is also an incredible opportunity for you and me to reach more of our dream customers and grow our businesses. The thing that I want to talk to you about is something called unconnected distribution. It's both a blessing and a curse, a challenge and an opportunity. And I want to speak about both of those things today in this episode. I also would love to invite you on into an opportunity to do some further learning with me about this and also receive my social media playbook. I'm doing a webinar every couple of weeks at the moment on how to use this incredible tool to your advantage, how to use this big shift, this big change to reach more of your dream customers and attract them to your business. If you'd love to do some more of that learning with me and you'd like to learn some strategies to help you off the back of this podcast today, then I'm going to put the link to this in the show notes. We might even pop it up on the screen here if it makes it a little bit easier so that you can jump on in and join us for a completely free training, and I will share with you my social media playbook download as well as a little gift to thank you for doing that learning with me. But let's jump in and talk all about unconnected distribution. So what is unconnected distribution? Well, to explain this to you, I first need to explain the way that we have received content up until about 2 years ago. Now, the way that you will receive content in your Facebook and Instagram feed were from connected sources. This means pages that you followed, people who you were friends with, groups you were a member of, or adverts you were being specifically targeted by. Anything you saw in your Facebook or Instagram feed came from one of these sources until recently. A couple of years ago, Mark Zuckerberg made a statement that he wanted to reward content creators. Now, let me just stop for a moment with a disclaimer here. I think a lot of people, when they hear the word content creator, assume, well, that's not me. Well, that's not true. If you create any content on social media at all, you're a content creator. You don't have to be technically savvy, professional. You don't even have to have a big following. If you put content out there, you're a content creator. That's it. So Mark Zuckerberg wanted to reward content creators that were providing quality content that keep people on their platforms. Keep in mind that it's in their best interest to keep people on Facebook and Instagram longer and more frequently. If you help them do that, then they want to share more of your content with more people. So he decided to make a change. And what he said was, we're going to stop delivering content only simply because people were connected. Now, this is both, like I said earlier, a blessing and a curse. It's a curse if you haven't figured out how to provide quality content that your dream customers want to see. So if right now, or if, from 2 years ago till now, you have not been getting interaction, people didn't want to see your content, you weren't getting reach, weren't getting engagement, you were hearing crickets chirping every time you were posting, that says that you hadn't figured it out yet, and possibly still haven't. But if you are providing content that people did want to see, that they were interacting with, then your content was going to be delivered to more people. So let's talk about unconnected distribution for a little moment, and let's bring AI and algorithm into this conversation. I want these words to you to not be scary words. And by the way, our super strength here at Oksano is explaining things in super simple terms that anyone can understand, but also utilize and implement. And so today we're going to kind of unearth a couple of these things, because I think the word algorithm, artificial intelligence or AI, and even unconnected distribution are jargon to a lot of people. They don't understand. And when they hear these words mentioned, they kind of switch off. So today I want you to open your ears a little bit and start to think about, what might this mean for me and how can I use these things to grow my business? So what is unconnected distribution? Well, when making this announcement, Mark Zuckerberg said he wanted to deliver more content to people that they were going to be interested in, irrelevant to who they were connected to, or regardless of who they were connected to, which meant he was going to start pushing content out based on interest, not connection. So where we sit today, and when I'm recording this podcast episode, we literally have a situation where 27%, just recently reported, 27% of all content on Facebook and Instagram was being delivered to people from unconnected sources. This is over a quarter of the content you're now receiving is what we call unconnected distribution. This means over a quarter of the content you see when you go to your Facebook feed or your Instagram feed is coming from people you don't follow, pages you don't know and you're not connected with, and groups you're not a member of. So what's the opportunity here? Well, previously, in order to reach people you hadn't yet met, you needed to run paid ads to do this. But now Facebook is saying, if you do a good job of your content, if we, using AI and the algorithm, decide that people want to see that post, we're going to show it to more people you've never met. You have an opportunity to reach up to 27% more people that you've never met before without paying a cent to do it. This is a massive opportunity right there at our fingertips. But the question is, how are we using it? And what do we need to do to tap into this source of new leads? Well, I'm going to give you a couple of tips today to help you with this. But first, I want to explain how this distribution happens. And that is through the algorithm. Now, you've probably heard this word thrown around a lot, but just to be super clear and to simplify this down, the algorithm is simply a program operating in the background of pretty much every social media platform there is. The algorithms are there to deliver content, work out what content people want to see, and deliver more of that content to them. In other words, the algorithm behind Facebook and Instagram is here to learn everything there is to learn about you and me. It learns things like what we do for a living, what car we drive, who we're friends with, what sort of conversations we have with those friends, the type of language we use, what our family life looks like, how old our kids are, our demographic, even our household income. It takes all of this information and it uses it to deliver us only the content it knows we want to see, with the intention of keeping us on the platforms for longer and more frequently. Essentially, every post you create and put out there is getting filtered by this algorithm, which is deciding exactly who to show that piece of content to. So it goes without saying, if we learn what our audience wants to see more of, then that algorithm is going to help push your content out to more people you've never met, as well as the ones you know. So there's a lot of opportunity here. How do we tap into it? The good news is you don't need to be technically skilled, technically savvy. You don't even need to use fancy tools. The amazing news about this is that the simpler the post, often the better the result. Because in this day and age, we're dealing with content then that is more real, more relatable, more human. I want you to just think about this for a second. At the other end of that computer screen or mobile device or whatever it is that people are using is a human being. And it goes without saying that in the world that we're in, it's very easy to post perfect and non-human content. We now are dealing with a world where AI is literally taking over. Artificial intelligence is both, again, a blessing and a curse. There's a great opportunity here to use it effectively, But where we're seeing a lot of people getting this wrong is they're becoming less human, less real, and less relatable. The most human, real, and relatable content you can produce is content that's unique to you. In other words, your story, what you get up to, your journey. Now, that's another conversation for another day. But I want to give you right now 3 really quick tips to help you tap into this incredible opportunity of unconnected distribution, reaching people you've never met before, growing your business and generating more leads, more dream customers, and having them come to you saying, "Tell me more, I want what you have." So what is the very first thing that we need to do if we want to use this incredible opportunity wisely? It's know your audience. Now, I harp on this a lot inside of our memberships. It's probably one of the first things we teach you to know back to front. Great news is using AI now, we actually have some incredible tools to help us do this very, very quickly and very, very easily. But why does this matter so much? Well, first, I've talked to you about the algorithm today, and you've got to remember that that algorithm knows everything about every user on the platform. In some cases, and Greg and I joke about this a lot, it sometimes knows more about us than we know about ourselves. In fact, that algorithm can often predict our behaviors. Have you ever seen something come up and you're like, is it listening? Now, let me just say this. I'm not convinced that it's not, but what I do know is what Mark Zuckerberg, etc., are saying about listening, and that is it doesn't listen, it predicts. It's not listening to what you're doing. It's looking at your behaviors and it's predicting what you're going to do next. And it knows this stuff. Now, whether that's true or not for me to say. But what I do know is it does absolutely predict particular behaviors. And you'll see this happen time and time again. The most simple things. But you also need to be starting to think about, what are the behaviors about my ideal customer? Now, the great news is if you are clever about the content you post on social media, you can use it strategically to help you answer this question, which is, what do I need to know about my audience to deliver them more content they want to look at? But I'm going to give you a cheat here. These are my 2 golden questions. And if you apply these to everything you do on social media and you're constantly curious about these 2 questions, then this is going to change the game for you. These 2 questions are as follows. Number 1, what keeps them up at night? What I mean by this question is, what problems in life do they want to solve? What bothers them? What frustrates them? These things are the things that make them tick. But it's also how you can create commonality and tap into what matters for them right now. You can use this effectively with your products and your business and your opportunities to tailor them to the people, but you can also use this to provide content that's specific to them and they're interested in. Remember, this is not always about selling your product and your service first. Now, I know that's what you want to do to grow your business, and it is important, don't get me wrong, but we have to start with interesting content that gets them coming back to our page, our profile, or our group again and again and again, going, I'm really interested in this content. I want to see more. So what keeps them up at night? Really important question. The next one is, what gets them up in the morning? And that's, what do they value and care about? What conversations are they interested in having? When you know the answer to these 2 questions, and keep in mind, you'll never know all the answers because everyone is changing, their environment is changing, their world is changing, which means the answer to these 2 questions is also going to be constantly evolving and changing. But if you're always curious and if you're always learning, if you're always open to providing more content that taps into these 2 questions, you're going to be in a much better place to put content out there that algorithm wants to show people. Because remember, they want to keep people on the platform. So you provide good content, they do the work for you. You do less. So number 1 is know your audience, a constant learning curve. But your content on social media will also help you do this if you're strategic about it. Number 2 is really important, but also I am shocked at how many people have not considered this, and that is be findable. Now, it's one thing for the algorithm to show your content to people, but if you're not showing up, that's very hard for it to do. So there's a couple of things to remember here in this one. The first is show up. So constantly be posting content. If you're not posting anything, it's like going, well, I'm not getting fit. And then someone saying to you, well, how often are you working out? You're like, well, I went to the gym once. Okay, well, you need to show up regularly and consistently to get the results. And it's the same with social media. There's this assumption, I think, that if you post several times in a row and you don't get a result, it's just not working and people don't do it anymore. That is a fallacy. It's not true. You need to be showing up repeatedly and be constantly learning. Now, that doesn't mean you need to spend more time on the platform. I don't want you being unproductive and spending oodles of time there, but I do want you spending quality time on the platform frequently. You can do this, and we teach this again inside of our memberships for people to show up on a frequent basis to get great results, but just for short stints of time. 10 minutes a day is all you need to be successful at social media if you use that time productively, and a couple of hours once a week to really strategize out what you're doing. So be findable. First thing is show up. But the second part to that is, how are you showing up? You know, a lot of people think, well, if I just show up on my personal profile, that's all I need to do. Again, we get asked a lot, should I use a profile, a business page, or a group, or Instagram, or where should I be showing up? And the answer to that is each of those locations is valid and has an incredible opportunity. Each of those locations has an ideal target customer attached to it, and each of them has benefits associated with them. But a profile, a page, and a group all work very differently, as does Instagram. And so you've got to ask yourself the question, where should I be strategically showing up to place myself in the path of my target customer? And also consider what's an easier way to be found. For example, a privately locked down personal profile is not going to reach new people. Facebook's not going to be pushing your private personal profile posts out to people. So if you want to tap into unconnected distribution, you need to have a location you're showing up that is public. And there's a few ways you can do that. Certainly a professional profile, which is a publicly opened up profile, is one way, but not everyone's comfortable with that, and that's totally fine. But a business page may be the place you need to be showing up. A Facebook business page is very much like a website. It has no barrier. Anyone can look at it and they don't need to follow it to see the content. It allows people to gently get to know you without feeling like they need to identify themselves to do that. And if you've got to friend somebody or join a group, that can be a little bit uncomfortable when someone's only just learning a bit about who you are. In addition to that, if you want Facebook to show more of your content to people, you need to show up in a public location. Instagram is another really great place. If you don't have your personal profile locked down, again, you may be shown to people you don't know if you produce good quality content. And of course, a group, you need to look at your privacy settings. I personally am a big fan of private groups because it creates curiosity and intrigue where people need to be a member to get the amazing stuff on the inside. But it does provide a barrier, which means in order to get people into my group, I need to have a public location for people to find out more about what I do, who I am, and what I have to offer, so they want to join that group in the first place. So you got to think about, how am I showing up? How am I strategically using these platforms in order to get to new people and then put them into what I call my nurture sequence? Your privately locked down personal profile and or your Facebook group could be a part of your nurture sequence, as could be your email database. Conversation for another day. So make sure that you are findable is number 2. Number 3 is to deliver favoured content. Now, this taps into as much knowing your ideal target customer as it does into what is trending. Now, I'm not suggesting that you have to be on all the trends, and that can be really exhausting, but you do need to know what is the algorithm looking for and what is it not looking for. There are certain things that if you do more of and certain things if you do less of, you are going to get better reach. For example, we know that if you post links in 2024, your content will not be favoured. Why? Because posting a link on Facebook to any other location is taking people away from the platform. And remember what I said before, people the platform wants to keep people on their own platform. They don't want to send people away. So if you put up a YouTube link or a link to your website, Facebook sees that immediately and it will show that post to, and we know now, less than 4% of your potential reach. It has decreased dramatically. And if you're thinking, well, that's okay, I'll share a link in my Facebook group instead, link reach inside of Facebook groups has decreased even further. So what's working well? Well, one of the things that we know is absolutely going incredibly well is story-based content. Why? Because it's unique, because it's personal, because it's relatable, and it's human. So more stories, less links. In other words, more personable, less selling. It goes without saying. But you want to know what the platforms are favoring right now. Now, the great news is that we love to deliver you training in this space completely for free. It's one of the services we provide to you. And so if you want to learn a little bit more about what content is being favored right now, what the top 5 performing pieces of content are at this time, then I would love to invite you on in to join us on our free Facebook Updates webinar. We'd love to have you there, and I will share with you the top 5 performing post strategies right now and the latest Facebook updates that will be impacting your business if you are not aware of what they are. But remember this, just as I wrap up, Facebook is an opportunity. It's a tool to be used to reach more of your dream customers to grow your business. When used correctly, it can be a lead generating machine. But when used incorrectly, it can be a massive time waster and it can have you feeling really deflated about your business, which we don't want to see. So as I said at the start of this podcast episode, this is not about being more technically savvy. It's just about being a little bit smarter about what you put your time to when it comes to social media. And most importantly, using it to earn trust, because people buy from those they like, know, and trust. The more they know you, the more they trust you, the more they like you, the more likely they are to connect with you and do business with you. There are some super simple ways for you to earn more trust and be more relatable. We'd love to share those with you. Like I said, I'll put the link in the comments or in the show notes with this episode so you can join us on our webinar. But for now, go ahead and utilize this incredible tool of unconnected distribution, a chance to meet more people that you've never connected with before. The answer? Just put more content out there they want to see. It's as simple as that. So thanks for joining me on the podcast again today. This was a super quick power episode. I love being able to connect with you. And don't forget, of course, we have our own free Facebook community we'd love to invite you on into. A group where we share latest Facebook updates and any of the challenges and amazing trainings we're providing, we will share them with you in there. So join us in Social Media for Direct Sellers with Greg and Sam on Facebook. We'd love to serve you and support you. For now, have an amazing rest of your week, and we'll see you on the podcast again next week. That's it from me. Bye for now. Thank you for joining us in this episode of the Direct Selling Accelerator podcast. If you love listening and you found that this was helpful for your direct selling business, please like and subscribe to our YouTube channel. You can also check out the recommended video that's popped up on your screen right here. I look forward to seeing you again next time. Bye for now.